Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make a special treat that started out in Malaysia and ended up the dim sum restaurants of Hong Kong and Guangzhou and even most of USA and pretty much most around the Chinese dim sum restaurants around the world. Today I'm going to show you how to make Ma Lai Go. Okay, so Ma Lai Go is so easy to make, you can do it like maybe in your sleep. So first off, we need 3 large fresh eggs. This is 180 grams of evaporated milk. Evaporated milk is widely used in Southeast Asian desserts and even Southeast Asian dishes like Tom Yum Goong in Thailand. And these are also used in Malaysian curries. And here is 3 tablespoons of pandan water. So what's pandan water? So pandan water is basically like, I don't know, it's just maybe like tea or something. So what I did is I took about 8 pandan leaves and I boiled it in 2 cups of water for about 5 to 8 minutes. And then you switch up the heat. And then you let the pandan leaves steep in the water for about 30 minutes. There is pandan extract, but if you can find a good brand, use it, because some pandan extract is a little bit too strong of a taste. So you don't want the taste of pandan to overpower your whole entire Ma Lai Go. And then when it's finished, I just took out 3 tablespoons. You can save the rest the next time to make another dessert. And here is 1 teaspoon of all important yeast. And here is 190 grams of brown sugar. Okay, and for the flour, this is 180 grams of all-purpose flour. And to that, I'm gonna add 30 grams of corn flour, or in the USA, this is called cornstarch. And the final ingredient that you need is just some salt. Every dessert needs a little bit of salt just to heighten up the flavors. And to make the cake moist, same as a red velvet cake, we're gonna use oil. So oil is gonna help make the Ma Lai Go cake very moist. So I also need a teaspoon of baking powder and a teaspoon of baking soda. And I'm gonna add these in the end for guys coming. Oh, what the?
What are you? An idiot sandwich.
Anyways, I'll explain why you should add these at the end, which is very, very important, okay? All right, so let's get started. So we're gonna start off with most of the wet ingredients. Start by mixing the eggs. Add the evaporated milk. And the pandan water. And just mix it up for a minute. All right, so now that my wet ingredients are mixed, set this aside. We're going to mix the dry, but it's important to sift the flour. So I'm gonna add all my AP flour and add the corn flour on top. And the final ingredient is just a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Salt is a very important ingredient in desserts like cakes. And a 1/4 teaspoon of just plain salt. And then we just sift it in. So of course our first ate Ma Lai Go in the dim sum restaurants of New York City's Chinatown. But you know what? I wasn't too crazy about Ma Lai Go back in the US. It wasn't until we started traveling to Guangzhou for business in China. And me and my wife Don, we went to the Chinese dim sum restaurants in Guangzhou. So we ate our usual dim sum stuff like siu mais and ha gaos and gai gurk's chicken feet. Until I saw a picture of their Ma Lai Go. And I'm telling you, the Ma Lai Go is huge. It's like one big brick. So I ordered it and we ate it and we loved it. And I figured, you know what? I'm gonna make this myself. The reason why you need to sift this is because it's a very, very fine cake and very delicate. So that's why this is a very, very important step. Okay. All right, and that's that. Add my yeast. This is 1 teaspoon of yeast. And then add all of the brown sugar. You know what? Brown sugar isn't really like all too sweet. White sugar is actually sweeter. So the brown sugar provides a sort of like a caramel-like sweet flavor. But if you want it a little bit more sweet, I recommend adding maybe about 30 or 40 grams of white sugar, okay? But for me, this recipe is sweet just enough. Okay, and then we whisk these up. I can smell the brown sugar. It smells like caramel. It's awesome. So that's thoroughly combined. And now we add our liquid mixture. I'm gonna break out my spatula to do this. And you just want to take out as much of the big lumps as you see. And don't worry if you see like lumps inside, you're gonna sort those out later on, okay? Okay, and that's it. And now, because there's yeast in there, we have to give it time to proof. Depending on where you live, it could take up to like 2 hours. But if you live in a warm area like I do in Thailand, it'll probably take like 45 minutes to an hour or so. So if you live in a cold area or whatever, put it someplace where there's no draft. You can maybe even stick it into your oven, okay? And hopefully that'll help your Ma Lai Go proof better. So just cover this with plastic and leave it somewhere warm for 1 hour. Okay, so about an hour and a half has passed. For me, it was actually ready about an hour ago, but I went to have a sandwich. So this is how it looks. There's bubbles on top. It's a little bit nice and foamy. I don't know if you can tell. But this is ready. Okay, so now I have to add, I have to be careful this time. I have to add baking soda and baking powder. So obviously baking soda and baking powder will help give the cake some volume of lifting it up. The reason why I'm adding these at the end is because, well, you remember I had to proof this for about an hour and a half. If you add these ingredients directly into this mix at that moment before proofing, what happens is it will instantly react. But when you don't bake it afterwards, as time passes, baking powder and baking soda will lose its leavening power. That is the reason why I'm adding these ingredients right before I'm going to steam it in that steamer pot. A teaspoon of baking powder and a teaspoon of baking soda. Just mix that in first. Vegetable oil. And again, just stir it up. Okay, only mix this for about a minute. All right, so I'm gonna set this aside and I'm going to talk about steaming. So I have here an 8-inch cake pan. You should use a container that has a high wall like this, right? Now you can use a steamer basket, but I know that most households, we don't really have that. Even mine, I don't have it. I could buy it, but I prefer using this because it's just what I have. Now, if you don't have a cake pan, you can also use ramekins if you have them, or even a rice bowl, okay? Now, whatever you choose to use, you should oil the surface. This way, you can easily remove the Ma Lai Go. So I prefer to use butter because, well, I mean, it's good flavor, right? So, but you can just use plain cooking oil. All right, so that's done. And now I would like to just put all the ingredients into a sift, like that. This way you get a really nice, fine texture. And then we're gonna tap it for a few times just to get those large air bubbles out. All right, time to check my steamer pot. All right, so my water's boiling. So put this down. Now I have my steamer pot on a medium-high heat. I'm going to steam it for about 25 to 30 minutes. But here's the key to making really good Ma Lai Go, okay? You cannot overcook it. It is best to take it out slightly when it's underdone, because when you take it out and put it on your countertop, the residual heat is going to continue cooking your cake. So you want to take it out just before it's ready. And I'm also going to show you how to check if your Ma Lai Go is almost ready. Okay, we're at the 25-minute mark, and I'm going to check if my Ma Lai Go is ready. So I'll take that out. And there it goes. It's a beautiful cake. Look at that. And what you're gonna do is, to check to see if it's done or not, I'm going to stick a chopstick right in the center. All right, and pull it out. It's not wet, it's dry. And there's like a crumb, as you can see, there's a crumb on it, and it looks kind of dry, so this Ma Lai Go is ready. Just take a spatula, take a small little palette knife, slide it around. Oh, it's still hot. Oh, tap it down. There it goes. Take another plate around, and there you go. Ma Lai Go cake. Check it out. Nice, soft, and springy. Just a beautiful, easy, simple cake to make. This is just a real classic dim sum menu item. Smells so good. It's like a little caramel-like cake, you know? Let's take a look at the cake. Oh, it's soft. Check out my cake. And I'm gonna tear this apart. Look at that. Oh, ho, ho, ho. I don't like cakes that are too sweet. And I can understand why these ended up at a Chinese dim sum restaurant, because this will go great with like a cup of black tea. Okay everyone, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please try out this recipe. I know you'll love it. And I hope to see you all again next time. Take care and goodbye.